Chosen one, stop what you are doing and listen right now. You did not stumble upon this by chance. You were led here, guided to this exact moment. Pause a reason you are about to understand. Right now, in this very instant, something is shifting in the spiritual realm. And if you feel it, that pull in your spirit, that quiet knowing that something is about to change, that is not a coincidence. That is confirmation. You have been carrying something for a long time, a weight you cannot fully explain, a sense that somewhere along the way, things went wrong, that the life you were meant to live has been slipping further out of reach, that the path beneath your feet is not the path you were supposed to be walking. My beloved child, today God has a message for you, and the message is this: the time has come. Everything you thought was going the wrong direction is now being redirected. Every detour, every delay, every door that slammed shut in your face, it was not the end of your story. It was preparation for this moment. The tables have turned. Before we go any further, I need you to do one thing right now. If you have ever felt like you were walking the wrong road, if you have ever looked at your life and wondered whether God had forgotten you, drop the words "the tables have turned" in the comments below. This is not just a message. This is a divine appointment, placed directly in your path at this exact moment. Stay until the very end, because there is a prophetic word about timing waiting for you. And what you hear will change the way you see everything. Now, let us begin. There was a moment in the spiritual realm, and it was not random. A gathering took place around your name, not because of your accomplishments, not because of your perfection, but because of your persistence. In that gathering, the Father spoke. He did not speak about your failures. He did not rehearse the years you felt lost, or the decisions you second-guessed. He spoke about your destiny. And what he declared was this: it is time for restoration. Everything the enemy stole, everything that circumstances pushed out of alignment, everything you assumed was gone forever, it is being returned. Not partially, not reluctantly, but with full divine interest. The book of Joel records these words directly from God. I will restore to you the years that the swarming locust has eaten. He did not say he would try. He did not say he might consider it. He said he will restore. Every year you felt wasted. Every season you felt lost. Every step you believed was a mistake. It is all being calculated into your return. Hold on to what you are feeling right now. Chosen one, because what you are about to hear will change everything. Now let me tell you who you truly are. Before the world was formed, before the first mountain rose from the ground, before the first light broke over the first morning, your name was written down, not as an afterthought, not as a backup plan, as the original intention. The letter to the Ephesians says that God chose us in Him before the foundation of the world. That means your calling was not something God decided after watching you struggle for a few years. It was decided before you drew your first breath, before your parents ever met, before this planet existed. This is who you are, my beloved child. You are not a mistake. You are not a failed experiment. You are a chosen vessel, selected before time began, for a purpose that has never changed and will never change. And here is what that means for you right now. The seasons of difficulty you walked through were not evidence that God made an error in choosing you. They were evidence that what He placed inside you is too valuable to be handed out without preparation. Don't scroll past this. Stay with me. Now here is what you need to understand about the road you have been walking. You have looked at certain seasons, certain decisions, certain detours, and called them mistakes. You have carried guilt about the directions you took. You have wondered whether you drifted so far that finding your way back was no longer possible. But here is what you have not seen. There was a young man in the ancient world whose name was Joseph, and his life, by every visible measure, was a disaster. He was thrown into a pit by his own brothers. He was sold into slavery. He was falsely accused and imprisoned. Every single step looked like a step backward, but every single step was taking him exactly where he needed to be. The pit positioned him for the caravan. The caravan positioned him for Potiphar's house. The prison positioned him for Pharaoh's court. There was no wasted step. There was no detour that pulled him off course. The course ran directly through what looked like ruin. His own words, spoken to the very brothers who had sold him into slavery. Say this, you intended to harm me, but God intended it for good. Two plans were operating at the same time, chosen one, the enemy's plan and God's plan. And only one of those plans succeeded. Now let me tell you about the seasons when heaven seemed silent. There were moments in your journey when you cried out and heard nothing, when you prayed and the sky felt like stone, when you searched for a sign and found only emptiness. In those moments, you may have wondered whether God had left the room. He had not left, chosen one. He was working deeper than you could hear. When Lazarus died, Jesus did not rush to the scene. His friends sent word that Lazarus was sick, and Jesus waited 2 days before he moved. By the time he arrived, Lazarus had been in the tomb for 4 days. Every human hope had been exhausted. Everyone had given up. And that is exactly the moment Jesus chose to act. The miracle he was preparing required a level of impossibility that a quick healing could not have produced. The silence was not absence. The silence was construction. The prophet Isaiah wrote these words, "But those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint." My beloved child, your waiting was not wasted. It was counted, and now the season of waiting has ended. But here is something even deeper, something that changes the nature of this entire conversation. Right now, at this moment, your name is being spoken in the spiritual realm, not by the enemy, by the Father. In the ancient story of Job, God said to the adversary, "Have you considered my servant Job?" The creator of all things was speaking about Job with something that sounds unmistakably like pride. Not because Job was flawless, but because Job had not let go. That conversation was the beginning of Job's complete restoration. God is speaking your name right now, chosen one. Not because you have done everything right, because you have not let go. And that divine attention on your life is the first sign that the season is shifting. The book of Revelation carries these words, "Behold, I have set before you an open door, which no one is able to shut." That door is open for you. It was opened by the hand of God Himself, and nothing in heaven, on earth, or beneath the earth has the authority to close what He has opened. Now, let me tell you about what kind of moment this is. My beloved child, there are seasons when God says wait, and there are seasons when God says now. Not next year, not when you feel more prepared. Now, and when the moment came, it came completely. It was not a slow trickle, it was a flood. That is the nature of divine timing, the waiting stretches. But the release is sudden, full, and overwhelming. The book of Ecclesiastes says this, "For everything there is a season, and a time for every matter under heaven." Your season has arrived, chosen one. Not as a possibility, not as a prayer you are still hoping to see answered. As a fact, declared in the heavens before you heard a single word of this message. If your spirit is stirring right now, type "I see it" in the comments. I want to know that this is landing in your spirit. Now, to understand why this is your moment of restoration, you need to understand what you have actually been facing. Because the opposition in your life was never random. The enemy does not deploy his most sophisticated strategies against people who do not matter. He does not expend energy on lives that carry no threat to his agenda. The more intense the opposition you have faced, the more clearly it reveals something about the assignment you carry. When the child Jesus was born, King Herod ordered the execution of every male child 2 years old and under. He did not do this out of general cruelty. He did it because he was terrified of one specific child. The violence was not general. It was targeted. Lions do not stalk prey that offers nothing. The focus the enemy has placed on your life is an involuntary confession about your value. Chosen one, but stay with me, because here is what you must understand about the specific strategy that has been used against you. The most effective weapon the enemy has deployed in your life is not destruction. It is deception. He does not need to destroy what God is building, if he can convince you to walk away from it yourself. And the most potent form of that deception has been this: the belief that you took a wrong turn, that you made choices that disqualified you, that your story got so far off track that restoration was no longer available to you. When you believe you are walking the wrong road, you do not need to be pushed off of it. You step off voluntarily. You withdraw yourself from the position God placed you in. Every time you have thought, maybe this was not God's will for me, that was not a spiritual insight. That was a planted lie, designed to make you forfeit your own inheritance. Every time you have thought, I have gone too far in the wrong direction to come back, that was not discernment. That was a strategy. And today, God is exposing it. The Gospel of John records these words about the enemy: he is a liar and the father of lies. Everything he has told you about your story has been constructed to serve his agenda, not to reveal the truth. And there is something else you must understand about the delays you have experienced. Chosen one, in the ancient writings of Daniel, there is a remarkable account. Daniel prayed, and God heard that prayer on the very first day Daniel spoke it. Not after a week, not after a month, the first day, but the answer was delayed for 21 days. Not because God was slow, not because Daniel had done something wrong, but because in the spiritual realm, a battle was being fought over that answer. The answer to your prayers has been heard. The declaration over your life was made long before you felt the first sign of movement. What you experienced as delay was not divine hesitation. It was spiritual warfare, and the battle is over. And hear this, my beloved child. Not one tear you cried in secret was ignored. Not one prayer you whispered in the dark went unrecorded. The 56th Psalm carries these words: you have kept count of my tossings, put my tears in your bottle. Are they not in your book? God has a record, not of your failures only, of your grief, of your endurance, of every moment you chose to hold on when everything in you was telling you to let go, every night you cried when no one was watching. It was recorded. Every sacrifice you made that no one acknowledged, it was seen. Every time you chose faithfulness in a season that gave you nothing visible in return, God marked it. The letter to the Galatians says this: and let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up. Your season of harvest has arrived, not as a distant promise, as a present reality being released into your life right now. Don't move. Chosen one. Don't skip ahead. Let me show you what the tables turning actually means. In the ancient story of Esther, a man named Haman built a structure for the purpose of executing a man named Mordecai. He designed it, he constructed it. He was completely certain it would serve its intended purpose. And then, in one of the most stunning reversals in all of Scripture, Haman was executed on the very structure he had built to kill Mordecai. The book of Esther records it plainly. So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai. What was designed to end someone became the instrument of their enemy's defeat. This is what is happening in your life right now. Chosen one. The circumstances engineered to keep you down are being inverted. The accusations that were meant to define you are becoming the backdrop against which your victory is displayed. The closed doors that were intended to limit you are the same doors now opening, on schedule, by divine appointment. The tables have turned, and they have turned completely. And here is the deeper truth beneath that reversal. My beloved child, it was not your strategies that turned the tables. It was not your connections, or your timing, or your ability to outmaneuver the opposition. It was your persistence, chosen one. Consider Job, who lost his children, his wealth, his health, and the understanding of his closest friends, and still did not curse God, he argued. He questioned, he wept, but he did not let go. Consider Ruth, who had every legitimate reason to return to her homeland and start over after tragedy. But she made a choice. She would not leave. The letter of James says this: "Blessed is the man who remains steadfast under trial." Steadfast, not perfect, not victorious yet. Steadfast you are here because you did not let go, and that is exactly why this message found you today. Now hear this clearly, chosen one, because this changes how you understand your entire journey. The path you have been walking, including the parts that felt most wrong, was not a detour from the plan. It was the plan, working through terrain you could not yet understand. When God led the children of Israel out of Egypt, He did not take them on the shortest route to the promised land. The direct road was faster, but God deliberately led them the long way. Not because He was lost, not because He was testing their endurance for entertainment. He led them the long way because the direct road would have required them to face enemies they were not yet equipped to defeat. He knew what they needed before they needed it, and He routed the journey accordingly. Every detour in your story was a similar routing. Every delay was a preparation. Every season that looked like stagnation was quietly building something inside you that the destination requires. The book of Proverbs says this: "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make straight your paths." Present tense intention, future tense certainty. He is actively, right now, straightening what you thought was permanently bent out of shape, and what is being restored is not going to arrive as a partial return. When Job came through his season of loss and testing, the closing chapter of his story records these words: "And the Lord blessed the latter days of Job more than his beginning." Not equally, not in a comparable way, more. The second half was greater than everything that came before it. God celebrates restoration, chosen one, and the restoration coming for you is not a quiet return to where things were before. It is a full, abundant, overflowing arrival at the place you were always meant to reach, with interest, with everything the years of waiting accumulated. Now, let me tell you about the doors that are opening. The book of Revelation carries this declaration: "I know your works. Behold, I have set before you an open door, which no one is able to shut. No one is able to shut it. Not the people who doubted you, not the voices that told you it was too late, not your past, not your failures, not the years you lost. The door that God opens has no lock that any human hand can operate. This means the opportunities coming into your life right now are not dependent on human approval. They are not contingent on whether the right person notices you at the right time. They are not waiting for your network to improve or your reputation to recover. They are being opened by the hand of the God who chose you before the foundation of the world. And here is what you must not do when those doors begin to open. My beloved child, do not wait for everyone around you to agree that you are ready. Do not pause until every doubt has been answered and every fear has been resolved. The door is open. Walk through it. You do not need to have all the answers before you take the first step. You need to take the first step. The answers will be provided for the steps that follow. The second letter to the Corinthians records these words: My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Your feeling of inadequacy is not a disqualification, my beloved child. It is the exact condition in which the power of God is most visibly displayed. Stop waiting to be ready. You are ready enough for the first step. Pay attention now, because I want to tell you precisely what to expect in the days ahead. Heaven is not vague. God operates on schedule. Within the next 7 days, you will begin to notice small signs of confirmation, a conversation you did not expect, a door that quietly opens where a wall stood before, a dream that carries clarity about the direction you have been unsure of, a sense of peace settling over something that has kept you anxious for a long time. Do not dismiss these moments as coincidence. Document them. Write them down. They are the first signals that the shift has already begun. Within 21 days, the movement will become impossible to ignore. Connections that were severed will be re-established, or new ones will emerge to replace them. Opportunities that seemed permanently closed will resurface in forms you did not anticipate. The clarity you have been seeking about a specific decision will arrive, and it will arrive with a certainty you have not felt before. Within 40 days, the transformation will be visible. The assignment will come into sharp focus. The dimension of grace you are stepping into will be unlike anything you have operated in before. What was whispered to you in private will begin to be confirmed publicly. If you receive this as your own right now, type breakthrough in the comments. Do it now, before this moment passes. And now, chosen one, let me tell you how to position yourself to receive what is coming. The restoration is on its way, but you must stand in the right place to receive it. When the children of Israel stood at the edge of the Red Sea, with Pharaoh's army closing in behind them, and nothing but water in front of them, the instruction from God was this: the Lord will fight for you, and you have only to be silent. Be silent, not passive, but surrendered. There is something specific in your life that you are still trying to fix yourself. A situation you keep turning over in your hands, calculating strategies for, rehearsing outcomes, and every time you pick it back up, the weight of it exhausts you. Today, put it down. Not because it does not matter, but because you trust the one who sees the whole picture more than you trust your own limited view of it. When you step out of the way, God steps in. And when God steps in, the outcome is not what your best plan could have produced. It is beyond that. Now let me make this extremely practical. My beloved child, there are 3 things you need to begin doing today. They are not complicated, but they are powerful. The first is this: start documenting the signs. Get a notebook, or open a note on your phone, and begin recording every moment of confirmation you experience, every dream that carries weight, every time you hear something that speaks directly to your situation, every small movement in the right direction. When you document the signs, you build a record of divine confirmation. On the days when doubt tries to creep back in, and it will try, you will have evidence to stand on. You will open that record and see with your own eyes that God has been moving. Your faith is strengthened not only by what you believe, but by what you remember. The second is this: speak your restoration into the atmosphere every single morning. Before you reach for your phone, before the day begins to demand things from you, speak out loud. Say it: I am chosen by God. What was delayed is being restored. What I believed had gone wrong is being redirected. The tables have turned, and I step into my season. Your words create alignment in the spiritual realm. When you declare what God has already declared about you, you are not performing positive thinking. You are agreeing with the authority of heaven. And that agreement opens channels that silence keeps closed. Do this every day, without exception. The third is this: release the old plan. There is a particular outcome you have been holding on to, a specific version of how your restoration should look, a timetable you constructed for yourself. And every time the actual unfolding of things does not match that version, you feel like you are failing. Release it. Say out loud, God, I give this to you. I release my version of how this should go. Do what only you can do, in the way only you know how to do it. This is not resignation. This is the highest form of faith, and it positions you to receive something far greater than what your own plan could have delivered. If these words have stirred something in your spirit, pause with me right now. Place your hand over your heart and come with me before the throne of heaven. Father, we come before you today, not because we have it all together, but because you called us here. We thank you for every step of the journey, including the ones that hurt, including the ones we did not understand, including the years we called wasted, which you have always called invested. Today, we stand before you, and we make 3 declarations together. First, we ask you to break every lie the enemy has planted in the minds of your children here. The lie that says they went too far in the wrong direction. The lie that says the best of their story is behind them. The lie that says they are not qualified for the restoration you have already declared over their lives. That lie is broken right now. It loses its hold. Second, we ask you to release the restoration you have promised. Every dream that was placed on pause, every opportunity that was delayed, every door that belongs to them, we receive it now by faith, before we see it with our eyes. Third, we ask you to strengthen everyone who hears your voice today. Give them the courage to step through the doors you are opening. Give them peace that surpasses what their circumstances are currently able to produce. Give them eyes to see what you are doing before it becomes visible to everyone else. We declare that in the next 40 days, the evidence of your movement will be undeniable. In the name of Jesus, Amen. Thank you for staying until the end. That itself is a sign. If your spirit was stirred today, if you felt God speaking directly to you through these words, do not let this moment pass quietly. Leave a comment with these words: the tables have turned, and I am ready. Share this with one person who is in the middle of a hard season and needs to hear that their story is not over. And subscribe so that when the next message arrives, it finds you. You were chosen before the world began. You were prepared through every season that felt like loss. You are standing at the entrance to everything that was always yours. The time has come. The tables have turned. Walk into it.